How does a man who is clearly in his most dominant feminine energy but masculine presenting siphon and conquer a woman who was once dominant masculine energy but feminine presenting? It is very easy. He remained self centered while she became us centered. I want to preference by saying we do not know these people. It is just a clear observation. We're on the outside looking in. We don't worship celebrities. We're not idolizing them. We're just using this as a teachable moment. Okay. Per observation, you have two people who are clearly a part of a world where there is a lot of agreed upon darkness, agreements, and covenants.
Do she worship the devil? I wouldn't know because she don't do none of that shit around me. But they do have iconography and imagery that looks like it's very, it's dark, bro. Yeah. But that's them. I love the fact that I'm comfortable in those rooms. Like, you know, it ain't no spells being casted when I'm around.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And even if that is true, that does not stop these people from being human. Whatever the nature of that man is, and whatever his desires were for why he entered that world, is 9 times out of 10 not going to change. Whatever that woman's nature is, and whatever desire she had for getting into that world, that is not going to change. So if, for instance, in this situation, if one party was kind of coerced to be in that world, then a lot of the deficits, a lot of the wounds, a lot of the issues that that person has is going to still be a part of them until they heal, which means that when they interact with people on an intimate level, there's going to be more so a need for distraction than it will be for a healthy longevity connection. Okay. And then you have another person who probably just don't want to be back in poverty and not want to be in survival mode. And they are willing to do any and everything to not go back to what they came from. Okay. Now you be the determining factor for who is who and what is what. If you are a young woman who once desired traditional companionship, affection, and compassion from a traditional sense, that's not going to change at your core just because you put on the costume of fluidity, sexual liberation, and being a free bird. It's not going to change. Whatever your deficits are, and whatever your desire for why you wanted love in the first place, that's still going to be there. Putting on the costume of sexual liberation and freedom is not going to change that. And so what ends up happening is after the free bird goes out and does whatever she wants to do, and she even comes out and make proclamations like, you know, I was da 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 da, you was getting a faded. You understand? It does not change your hunger and desire at your core. So what happens is she meets a free spirit of a young man, and how they click and connect is based on commonality. What's the commonality? Their roots. They have a shared commonality in their roots, which brings up the word familiar. If you are a spiritual person and you are used to being here, then where are we going? Familiar spirit. So what usually happens is even a free bird of a woman who's fluid and does her own thing and marches to the beat of her own drum and make up her own rules as she goes along, she still craves some type of fire and desire from someone who can understand her or connect with her as well. And she meets said person in the form of a man. Now, this young woman has been around the world and when it comes to all of the many different dating escapades that she's indulged in. She's had all kinds of experiences from low to mid-tier to high tier in terms of the hierarchy of the society. She has dated all kinds of people. So she has been exposed to men from all different kind of tax brackets in many different worlds. So just maybe she just wanted somebody that quote unquote got her. Maybe she wanted a person who understood her, but then also felt like a friend to her where there wasn't so much pressure to feel like she was in a tied down relationship initially. And then just maybe she wanted the fire, the passion, and the desire that came along with that as well. So maybe it was like a friends with benefits type of situation initially. Who knows? However, one thing that she probably did not bank on is being so free, getting with someone who appeared to be so free, and then getting caught up in the web of adrenaline rush and dopamine that type of dynamic has a tendency to provide. And before you know it, you've fallen. And a woman who was once self-proclaimed free becomes a caged bird. And a lot of it comes from not reading the fine print of darkness. What is the fine print of darkness? That man's character. Because even if the man is fun and happy-go-lucky and he is adoring her and talking about how fine she is and how beautiful she is and how much he just loves being in her presence, and no matter how familiar he feels and close to home he feels and even free and understanding, that does not change that this man has always been very extremely insensitive to women. There are so much character issues with this individual as it relates to him breaking down women. And it is that insensitivity that is rooted in a level of cruelty in the character of a man, which makes that type of man very dominant, toxic, feminine, and makes him very cruel when he does not get the things that he wants, when he has gotten what he wants and he doesn't necessarily need you anymore. See, a lot of women think that they're different somehow. That man, when he's insensitive to other women and when he's cruel to other women, somehow she's so different because maybe she's higher on the hog, as the old people would say, when it comes to the hierarchy of life. Maybe she's not the same color as those women that he spoke about. Maybe she doesn't look like the same as those women that he spoke down about. Maybe she's in a different tax bracket or in a better social standing than those women that he was insensitively speaking about. And she just somehow thinks that she is different. But that's not true. A man that is flawed in character is a man that is flawed in character. You're not going to change him. All he's going to do is put on a more grander and impressive performance until he gets what he wants. And that insensitive and cruel man is going to still be there, especially when he has you in his grips, where there is either marriage involved or children involved or some type of business tie involved. Whatever the tie or the bind and the yoke is, that is what he's going to use as a weapon against that woman. Now, here's the thing, that the woman that makes a decision to be with a man like this, or some people would even say a warlock like this, had an agreement with that man to share her light. And this is why when you are a woman who has a bright light, it is very important that you do not allow a man to borrow your light. Even if you like his personality, even if you think he's charming, even if that man gets you or provides passion for you, it does not matter. When you allow a man to borrow your light, especially with a dynamic where there is an obvious gap in the hierarchy, you have to understand he's not going to pay it back. The way that he's going to pay you back is with humiliation, it's going to be with constant disrespect, and it's going to be with devaluation. And I hate to say it, it is what you signed up for. Just because you can make sense out of darkness does not mean that you come into covenant and make an agreement with it. When you agree to loan some of your light out, when you agree to be a part of the dark underworld with a person, when you agree to go into bloodline covenant with a person, you have to understand that there is no fairness in darkness. You're going to have to understand that there is no fairness in darkness. When you end up meeting a man that is so familiar in spirit to you, it is a catalyst. This is going to be an opportunity to break you down to ground zero for you to build yourself up from ground zero. Because a lot of this has nothing to do with the man, but everything to do with you as a woman. Because for a woman to loan her light out to a man, make an agreement to be a part of dark covenants with said man, and then try to have a traditional and conventional situation and not think that you're not going to have to pay for the bind and the yoke that comes along with that, we would be very foolish to think that. There is no fairness in darkness. And just because a man is being chummy with you today, it does not change the insensitivity and the toxic femininity that he has displayed to other women in the past. The character is flawed and is still there. And he's going to be on his best behavior until he gets you binded up, yoked up, and tied up enough to where it is going to be very hard for you to get him out of your sacred space or out of your energy. And it's no victims here. It was an agreement. But unfortunately, when it comes to darkness, many women do not read the fine print. But it is a lesson of a lifetime. Whatever you do not face and whatever you run from, it will find you on the run. Whatever you do not face and whatever you try to run from, it will find you on the run. Satan has a very crafty way of sending familiar spirits to a woman who has been on the run, running away from unhealed childhood wounds, seeking for something, longing for passion, longing for love, only to be presented with a humbling lesson of a lifetime. There are no victims. When you make a decision in a broken state to loan out some of your life, you cannot be expecting light to be returned from a dark and broken man. It's not going to happen. He remains self-centered while you are now us-centered. And even if you walk away, the bloodline covenant is still there.